Welcome to Meera Codes. In a previous video, we learned about the float data type. Today, we will learn about the another data type used for the decimal numbers, that is double. Double provides the more precision than the float and is actually a default data type for the decimal literals in the Java. Double is a primitive data type in a Java. It is used to store the decimal numbers. A double occupies the 8 bytes, which is equal to 64 bits, compared to float, which uses the 4 bytes. Double uses the twice as much memory and provides a more higher precision. These are the examples of a double. Why do we need a double? So if we need to store the whole number, we can use an integer data type such as an int. But when we need a decimal values, we use the floating point data types like a float or a double. Double is generally preferred when we need a more precision. Let's compare the float and the double. Float uses the 4 bytes and provides approximately 6 to 7 decimal digits of precision. Double uses the 8 bytes and provides approximately 15 to 16 digits of precision. So when we need a more precision, double is generally a better choice. Remember from our previous video that Java treats the decimal numbers as a default double by default. So we do not need to add D when assigning decimal literal to a double. So this is perfectly valid. Double price is equal to 99.99. So D is a optional. Double D is a optional here. So Java already understands 99.99 as a double literal. So D suffix, this is a optional. We can also use the D suffix to explicitly indicate that the value is a double. So like a double price is equal to 99.99 D. So, and this is also valid, and this is also valid. Double price is equal to 99.99. But the D is optional because the decimal literals are already double by default. So simply we write this one, double price is equal to 99.9. In case of the float, if you want to represent the decimal value as a float, F is compulsorily we need to add as a suffix in the value. But in case of the double, D is the optional here. So this is the main difference. Java treats decimal literals as a double by default. Okay, for a float, F is required, and for double, D is the optional. Moving on to the precision example, here we have the same decimal value stored in the both float and the double. But a double can maintain the more precision because it has a 64 bits compared to the 32 bits for the float. This is why double is commonly preferred when greater decimal precision is required. Double range, just like a float, we should not use the integer range formula for the double. Double uses the IEEE 754 floating point representation. It can represent extremely small and extremely large decimal values. Its approximate range is plus or minus 4.9 into 10 raised to minus 324 to plus or minus 1.8 into 10 raised to 308. Again, you don't need to memorize these numbers. The important thing is to understand the double has a very large range and approximately 15 to 16 digits of precision. Here we are using a double to store the different decimal values. Since these are decimal literals, Java automatically treat them as a double. That's why we do not need to add any suffix here. Okay, the difference between the float and the double. Float uses the 4 bytes of memory while double uses the 8 bytes, and float provides approximately 6 to 7 digits of precision, and the double provides the 15 to 16 digits of precision. And most important truth, decimal literals are double by default. That's why double does not require a suffix while float requires the suffix F. When to use a double? We generally use the double when we need the decimal numbers and a more precision than a float can provide. For example, measurements, scientific calculations, engineering calculations, and many general purpose decimal calculation. Like important is for money or financial calculations where the exact decimal arithmetic is required. Don't rely on the float or a double. Java's big decimal is usually the appropriate choice. Today we learned about the double data type. We understood its memory size, precision, range, why the decimal values are treated as a double by default, and the difference between the float and the double. Now we have completed the two floating point data types. In the next video, we will move to the char data type, which is used to store the characters in the Java. Thank you for watching.